Sore shoulders. I literally suffered with these so badly once when I was racing that the pain shot down my arm and I couldn't pull the brakes. Agony. But today in this video, we're going to run through some helpful tips and advice to help you fix any sore shoulders if you're suffering with them yourself. So meeting up with Bryan from the Bike the Body to find out all the helpful tricks. Bryan, thanks so much for joining us again. Today we're talking shoulders. Now this can be, it's not too common to be honest. I've suffered with a lot of neck pain, but shoulder pain, is that something you see when people come in to get treatment from you?
So there's not that many on the grand scheme of things if you exclude traumatic injuries from cycling, but we do tend to see people complaining of soreness around the shoulder, across the top of the shoulder. And again, the problem here is one where we're putting a little bit more pressure on the front of the bike, perhaps riding with locked out arms on the bike. And that's again, an issue where the balance or pressure is being shifted forward on the bike. The other things that can cause this is suddenly changing to riding more off-road terrain. So that just kind of changes and increases the vibration going through the shoulders as well. If you've got pre-existing neck problems, that can also predispose to developing that tension. The setup where the reach is too long or the drop is a little bit too low on the bike, or indeed there's just not great strength around the back of the shoulders to support that position.
Okay, what about bike fit then? What can we do to address any positional issues?
So yeah, we can definitely look at a couple of factors to improve the pressure and balance distribution on the bike. So let's have a look at that first.
Okay, cool. Okay, shoulders, bike fit. What can we do to address the issue? I don't even know where to start, Bryan.
So your shoulders obviously form the top of your upper body support on the front of the bike. So again, if your balance is shifted forward, you're going to place more weight through your arms and all of the muscles around that area. The things that we often see with riders struggling with this is locked out arms. And the reason the arms are locked out is because you're trying to support your weight on the bike. The other thing that comes with that is often elevated shoulders, so those shoulders creeping up towards the ears. So what we want to think about is trying to shift the center of weight more rearward on the bike. So again, that might be moving the saddle backwards a little bit, thinking again about saddle tilt, because if the saddle is tilted very heavily nose down, it's going to shove your weight forward onto the front of the bike. Finally, at the front end, we want to look at bar width. Again, very wide bars relative to your shoulder width will tend to cause a lot of splaying across the shoulders. And then we'll look at the reach of the stem and then the drop from the saddle down to the bars. So if you're struggling and your weight is falling onto the front of the bike, we might consider looking at raising or shortening the front end if we think that the balance of the saddle has been settled.
Okay, and what about kind of exercises, flexibility exercises, strength exercises? What can you do to kind of give yourself a bit of armor to stop yourself getting those shoulder issues in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. These things go part and parcel with improving how you fit and how you ride on the bike. So we can look at some strength exercises to improve your shoulder blade strength and your upper back strength, and then also some flexibility drills to make sure that you can hold that position that's also aerodynamic and efficient.
Okay, if you can show me a few, that'd be brilliant.
Let's go do it.
Okay, I'm in position and Bryan is going to talk me and you guys through an exercise to help strengthen your shoulder blades.
All right, so lying over a bench, or if you don't have access to a bench, you can actually do this lying flat on the floor. What we're gonna do is, I've got Connor with some light weights. You can start with no weights either. So we've got some light cyclist weights, and we're gonna squeeze our shoulder blades back and we're gonna make an A-frame shape first. Lifting back and outside, really squeezing through the shoulder blades, dropping down. Then we're gonna lift out to a T position, so straight out to the side, dropping down, and then with our thumbs going up towards the ceiling, we're gonna lift that into a Y shape. I say a little bit higher there, Connor. That's really good. And back down. So let's go back to that A shape again. So you can really work on squeezing the shoulder blades, not just moving the arms. That's it. So your shoulder blades should come together at the top, down, out to that T-shaped position. Again, moving up into those middle trap muscles, coming back down. And then again, working up into that Y position, thumbs up to the ceiling, reaching forward in front of you there, and slowly back down. So we're gonna work through a set that goes through 8 to 10 reps in those 3 different positions. And we'll do that for 3 sets. If you're finding it easy, you can increase the weight a little bit, but I would suggest for most people, you should start with even just your arms if you're lying flat on the floor.
Yeah, it's tough when you really feel it when you squeeze just between your shoulder blades.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you go behind, actually, I really feel it now. It's an area, I always suffer from tightness in that area, Brian. I think it's due to my size being so tall.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got long levers, there's an extra bit of stabilizing that you've got to do to support that weight. And again, what you'll find is that a lot of people feel tension around here, but seek to stretch it rather than necessarily try and work on strengthening the area, which will give you more support and actual capacity to hold that body position on the bike.
Yeah, it's a great one. I like that one, Brian. I always get a bit of a tension as well when I duck under door frames. And it just twangs my back just in that area. So I think this will be a good one for stopping that happening to me. Okay, great. Let's go into the next one.
All right, have a rest there. Drop those weights down.
Okay, if you suffer from shoulder pain, there are a few exercises you can do to alleviate that, stretch them out, and this is a great one Brian's going to talk me through right now.
Yeah, so what we're going to work on, we're going to use a Swiss ball, but you can actually do this with a bench in a slightly different way. We're going to come into a kneeling position, bring your hands forward onto the ball, and what we want to do is push the ball away in front as you push your hips out behind you, and I'll talk you through what you're feeling. So as you go out that way there, we're going to feel a nice stretch and lengthening through the lat muscles and the lower part of the shoulder blade, a little bit underneath the back of the arm, but also getting a really nice stretching through that mid part of the back. Good, and then rolling back up.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I really feel it right between my shoulder blades as well, actually, which is quite a sore spot for me.
So as you go down, what you can do is if you breathe out and exhale, as you let that breath out, you'll really feel it. You can ease into that stretch. And again, as I said, you'll feel it down through the lats, into that middle part of the back, as you push your hips away behind you, and then come back up to the start position.
Is this a good one to do if you're in quite a kind of sitting position a lot of the time during the day? Would this help stretch you out even before a ride?
Yeah, it's a good one because it works on that extension through that mid part of your back, your thoracic spine. And again, if you've got a desk-based job, you're going to tend to sit with a slight flexed posture more commonly. And so again, it's a really nice one to open up that part of the shoulder and that mid part of the back. So again, lots of us with sedentary jobs will benefit from doing this sort of mobility work. And again, I would work down into that stretch position, hold for 10 to 15 seconds and then ease back out. But I would do some repeated repetitions and you find that you ease into it gradually.
Okay, how many repetitions would you recommend actually, Brian?
I would go through 4 or 5, holding, like I said, 10 to 15 seconds each time you go through. But some of these things can be very individual and you might find after 2 or 3, you're really feeling that stretch happening for you and easing up. And sometimes you might need to go in a little bit further. But the key thing is to not force the first rep or 2 because you may be a little bit stiffer, and as you progress through you'll feel gradually better.
Okay, I'm going to do a few more reps here then just to get used to it. But yeah, really feeling it loosen out just between my shoulders. It's like a big release.
Yeah, and so if you do this with the bench, you can essentially do the same movement, but instead of rolling the ball away, you're just going to let your arms lengthen out and your hips push away behind you.
Brian, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great to hear from you and get some really handy tips on any shoulder pain you may suffer on the bike. And I really hope this video has proved useful to you and provided you some information just to get out there on your bike in a bit more of a pain-free manner. But Brian, is there anything else before we leave you need to think about in terms of your shoulders?
Like, as always, if it's not getting better with simple advice and simple strategies, go and see a professional to get an assessment. So whether it's a physio, chiro, osteo, doctor, bike fitter, get some further help if it's not improving. If things are getting worse, you're developing symptoms that are spreading down to the arms, things like that, pins and needles, tingling down the arms, don't hang about. If the advice and simple strategies aren't working, get assessment. Yeah, and I think you know when that's the case, the pain just gets too much. You need to get a third party to look at that and really try and solve it. But in the meantime, I hope these tips provide you a way, getting out on your bike in a better way. And as always, we'll see you on the next video, hopefully with everyone's favorite Irish physio.